Joining me now, White House Deputy Press Secretary Hogan Gidley. Hogan, fill us in on what you know about this, the accusations, your response from Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
I don't know what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is talking about, but then again, that's nothing new. I never know what she's talking about. In this particular instance, I'm glad she's saying it's horrible down at the border. We've been saying that now for 2 years. She and other Democrats called us liars. Even some Republicans said we weren't telling the truth on the matter. But the fact is, we've got a terrible situation, a humanitarian crisis on the southern border. Those Customs Border Protection agents, let me tell you something. They're some of the bravest men and women on the planet. They put their lives in danger every single day. They provide 3 meals a day to people who are here illegally and unlawfully, 2 snacks in between. Not to mention the fact some of these people actually go out and buy diapers and buy formula with their own money. They're doing this out of the goodness of their heart because we are a great nation. But the fact is, even as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez goes down there, she refuses to tell the press, oh, by the way, remember, I voted against all of the potential money that could come down here to fix some of the situation that I'm seeing. So it's quite frankly hypocritical and ridiculous for her to make those claims.
That $4.6 billion for humanitarian aid to the border, she did vote no against that. $2.8 billion of it for the unaccompanied alien children program run by Health and Human Services. And again, HHS had fewer than 700 open beds. That's why these children are in basically with the Border Patrol in custody there. How quickly can you deploy that money, Hogan?
Well, as my understanding, it's going out virtually immediately. The president signed it yesterday, and he made a very salient point. While this is important and we need to do this, let's be very clear what Democrats are now saying. They are standing with people who are here illegally and unlawfully as opposed to hundreds of millions of American citizens. The president pointed it out. There are people, coal miners, for example, with black lung that don't get good treatment like the folks who are in this country illegally. Democrats are standing with those people and demanding they get all types of free subsidies, free health care, all of these things. But the American people don't get that. It makes no sense whatsoever. They're standing with people who don't have any business being in this country, and they won't close the loopholes to prevent further problems down there. I mean, these migrants know how to get into this country. They use children as pawns because they know once they bring a child to the border, they're in the country. To hell with what happens to the child. It's so grotesque what's going on down there, and Democrats won't close the loopholes. We could fix this. The president says 15 minutes and an hour. Whenever they could come to the table, this can be fixed. But people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez would rather have this as a political issue instead of worrying about protecting people's lives, not to mention the lives of the American people.
I want to move on to the Iran nuclear deal, Hogan. The country announcing Monday it had exceeded the amount of uranium that it was allowed under the 2015 deal. President Trump warning that Iran is playing with fire. Listen to this and your reaction.
No message to Iran. They know what they're doing. They know what they're playing with, and I think they're playing with fire. So no message to Iran whatsoever.
We had General Jack Keane on earlier, and he did say, don't overreact. That was his kind of takeaway to the U.S. But what do we do? Is there any sign that Europe will get on board with us and basically push back on what Iran is doing?
Hopefully so. I mean, listen, that deal was a joke. The president knew it was bad. That's why he got out of it. It was based on a lie. The whole premise was that they weren't as far along as they actually were, the Iranians, in their nuclear capabilities and their uranium enrichment. We now know that to be the case, that they lied to the world. But the president was just at the G20. I was in with him for most of those meetings, and he talked about this extensively with other leaders, that we have to join together to try and protect the world. Our partners and allies are at risk with a nuclear Iran. The president has been clear he will not allow Iran to get a nuclear weapon, and whatever that takes, it takes. The president I was standing just a few feet away from him in the Oval Office when he made that comment yesterday. He's dead serious about this because we have to protect our allies. We have to protect United States citizens here and abroad, and we're going to do that at all costs.
U.S. trade tensions, EU trade tensions, rather, after a record close yesterday for the S&P 500 on the heels of a trade truce between the U.S. and China. Again, back to the negotiating table we go with China, but now we're considering new tariffs on the European Union on things like pasta, cheese, and scotch. Hogan, what do you make of this?
Well, listen, I understand that you and I'm sure many of your viewers who watch this program and this channel are worried about the Scotch. But let me be very clear here. We're not taking any action yet. This was a ruling by a court that basically said that the EU violated some terms of the WTO by subsidizing an airline. We won that case, and now we're waiting for a couple of things. The comment period is on. We're listening to the public and what they have to say about it. But also we have to wait for an arbitrator to tell us what we can and can't do here. So it's still a little bit farther off, but we need to recoup some of the losses on those subsidies that actually violated the WTO. So it's going to be a while before the Scotch is in danger, Dagan, so don't worry about that.
Hogan, you clearly do not know where I'm from if you think I drink Scotch over bourbon any day, but I digress. What about a timetable for getting back to negotiations with China? Do you have any sense of what the immediate next steps are?
Again, that was one of the meetings I was actually in, and I watched the president deal directly with President Xi. What was one of the most fascinating pieces was when the president was talking about our farmers and the need to protect them. The President Xi looked at him and just said, listen, one thing is very clear about you, Mr. President. You are a great guardian of the American farmer. It was a very poignant moment. The president is going to do everything he can to protect our farmers, but also American industry, American workers, American companies. This is something that's been occurring for far too long. The president knows it, and he's called it out. He said yesterday in that same Oval Office a meeting that you played a clip from earlier that a 50-50 split isn't going to cut it. We've been kicked in the teeth and punched in the gut now for decades. People around the world knew China was cheating. American presidents in the past knew China was cheating, and no one has done anything about it. This president standing up to him, and now we're in the negotiation process. We've reopened that. We're going to send teams. We're already have a dialogue at the highest levels of our government and with theirs, and we'll see what happens in the future. Hopefully it's a good deal, and the president said if it's not for the American people, he'll walk away.
Before we go, I want to talk about the July 4th celebration on the National Mall in Washington. President Trump offered a preview of those festivities in D.C. Take a listen.
We're going to have a great 4th of July in Washington, D.C. It'll be like no other. It'll be special, and I hope a lot of people come, and it's going to be about this country, and it's a salute to America. And I'm going to be here, and I'm going to say a few words, and we're going to have planes going overhead, the best fighter jets in the world, and other planes, too. And we're going to have some tanks stationed outside. Got to be pretty careful with the tanks because the roads have a tendency not to like to carry heavy tanks, so we have to put them in certain areas. We have some incredible equipment, military equipment on display, brand new, and we're very proud of it.
The planned use of military tanks has sparked some criticism from Democrats. The cost is too high. Those are some of the things we've heard. But also the criticism, Hogan, I want to get your response to this, is that the president has turned a July 4th celebration in the nation's capital into a political rally and a campaign rally.
Yeah, that's absolutely ridiculous. This is all about a salute to America. The president is not going to get political. He's going to celebrate the greatest country, the greatest idea in the history of the world, and that is the United States of America. We're going to have a lot of surprises. The president didn't get into all of them. In fact, private donations are coming in. The fireworks display is going to be 5 times that of normal years. So this is going to be the biggest and best celebration of the biggest and best country in history, and we're excited to be a part of it.
Hogan, good to see you. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Hogan Gidley from the White House.